LHSAA Executive Director Eddie Bonine stuck to his guns today, speaking to Louisiana's House Education Committee, saying they don't plan on canceling any of their sports seasons. But he also noted two very important points that are critical. They have to be able to move to Phase 4 of the state's reopening plan for prep football games and contact practices to even actually happen. Now, according to the NOLA Ready website, Phase 4 will occur with a vaccine or widespread immunity in the population. It says it will largely resemble pre-COVID-19 life, although some restrictions may remain necessary. Now, unless a vaccine is created over the next month, in my opinion, the possibility of football actually being played is pretty much slim to none. Because hypothetically, even if we moved into Phase 3 of the state's reopening plan, that would still only allow prep football teams to do 7-on-7 inter-squad practices. Now, according to Bonine, he says they have discussed the possibility of flipping fall and spring sports seasons, but that is still the last option on the table. We'll have much more on this topic tonight as it continues to develop. But until then, Andrew Doak, Eyewitness Sports.